Taoiseach, today in my Leader's Questions I wanted to be raising the absolute desperate situation in Palestine. Your failure, your government's failure to even meet the UN Special Rapporteur in the Dáil last week. You know, issues like the special needs crisis, the health workers and so many other issues. But today we have to come back to this again because of what happened yesterday. Now, comments have been made about the unpleasantness of the protests yesterday. I even heard some claims of misogyny, which I found extremely cynical from one of the most male-dominated governments on the planet. It strikes me that the Ceann Comhairle is a woman who knows her own mind and took a decision yesterday, unfortunately, to cooperate with what was a very coordinated move, not to allow order of business properly, to jettison questions and promise legislations and so on. But I want to move the focus back on you, Taoiseach, because you knew that these proposals were opposed by the opposition and you took a decision to voice them without debate yesterday. What did you think was going to happen? Do you think any of this would have happened if there had been a debate yesterday? Now, don't forget, in January, you were very anxious to get yourself elected as Taoiseach, and your party stood over there and made a promise to the Dáil that there would be consensus. Nothing would happen without consensus. You broke that promise, like we've seen you break promises about the housing figures, like we've seen you break promises on disability funding, free HRT, all of the things that were promised before the election. Now, it's important to bring home for the general public what this is actually about. This is the government removing itself more and more from being challenged. This is, in a real way, being challenged. Journalists are saying the bombs in Gaza are more important than what's happened. Who do you think is going to question the Taoiseach more about the bombs in Gaza?
Exactly.
The Lowry lackeys, the government, or people who actually care about the Palestine solidarity movement? That's who. Who is more likely to really interrogate the government on a whole range of issues? Now, this is the government preparing itself for unpopular decisions that it will have to take, water charges, cost of living, the triple lock, militarisation. But today and next Wednesday, instead of Taoiseach's questions, we will have Michael Lowry questioning you. Michael Lowry, I want to remind you, is the character who you're doing all this for, who was found to be profoundly corrupt by a tribunal in a breathtaking fashion. And I want to ask you, Taoiseach, if you've any qualms whatsoever doing business with Michael Lowry, somebody who gave two fingers to the public yesterday and then went and gaslit the population that he hadn't actually done it. Somebody who can lie at the drop of a hat like that. Have you any qualms at all about doing business with them? Now, this government is becoming very good at gaslighting. It's reciting a mantra of 8 minutes. Why would you die on a ditch over 8 minutes, Taoiseach? This is not. You're saying we're making a mountain out of a molehill. This is about you cutting the opposition's rights and entitlements to interrogate you.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, Deputy, I stand over the government's record in terms of Gaza. I don't accept your criticism in relation to it. We've been very clear in our condemnation of Israeli violence in Gaza, and equally of our condemnation of Hamas's atrocity on October the 7th, something which you and your colleagues have never condemned, which I think is a shame and a stain on you, that you have never condemned what was an appalling slaughter of the innocents. And it's noticeable that you've always refused to do that. In respect of the order, I mean, the opposition every day, look at this morning. We've had leaders' questions from who? From Deputy MacDonald, or Deputy Batchik, yourself, and others, Deputy Keane O'Callaghan. So, it's the idea that, and the public will see all this over the coming weeks, this is feigned outrage. It is very modest. You are correct. You asked why does. I'm not dying in any ditch. I think it's a reasonable, balanced solution, which took about 20 hours. And by the way, the commitment of the former Chief Whip, was to fully engage with the committee and to work to secure agreement as soon as possible and acceptable to government and opposition, not just opposition, to government as well. As regards formation of technical groups and the right of on-line members. Now, look, I say that this Dáil, the precedents that have been set by the opposition in this Dáil, will be very hard to overturn in future Dáil. And I think we've in this situation, we're in a new departure. And I'd say why, because you're going through the various procedures that a Ceann Comhairle was meant to do. Ceann Comhairle, in my view, asked repeatedly, for example, Sinn Féin to table their amendment, and they refused to do so. I was there, witnessed it 4 times. Now, the point I'm making is, there was no, I mean, if it's the tactic, and look, I was here yesterday. I endeavoured to respond to Deputy MacDonald, and in an organised manner, the Sinn Féin deputies in particular conspired to make sure that my voice could not be heard. The same thing happened to the Ceann Comhairle by any objective observation. The Ceann Comhairle stood up on a number of occasions. All of you were barracking, shouting, intimidatory behaviour, aggression, Deputy Doherty, naked aggression from you in your approach and posture. That's what I witnessed yesterday. And it's formed for you too, by the way. But I just want to say back, that, in my view, that is very regrettable. That is very regrettable, in my view. And it's a precedent that has been set. And it cannot be opposition by veto. This House cannot be run on the basis that if a Ceann Comhairle of the day, whatever Ceann Comhairle, doesn't agree with the opposition's perspective or approach, then the Ceann Comhairle loses the confidence of the opposition. This is not a normal guard. That is the precedent being set. Because I saw it yesterday. Sinn Féin in particular endeavouring to prevent procedures from being implemented and processed and properly followed.
Deputy Coppinger.